Happy Friday. Well, my over 40 friend. It's time to talk hormones. And here's my inspiration. My hair, since we've been back from Mexico, has been crazy. Falling out and gray hair sprouting everywhere and texture things. And it reminded me that for a lot of us, our hair is a big reflection of hormone changes at this age. So we're going to do a Hormones 101 during this live. It will be saved in our group under the Hormones Guide. If you haven't checked out the top, there are guides when you come into the group on your phone and here on your desktop as well. And one of them is where I'm saving all of our trainings about hormones, hormone testing, what you can do about hormones, how I use bioidentical hormones and the wonderful differences it's made in my life, the truths about hormones, resources to figure out more for yourself are all there. Some of you came to this group just to learn more about hormones. And so this training is for you, and it's actually for everyone over 40. Because one of my hormone specialist says hormones are to women as water is to plants, and it is true. And here's what's going on. Here's what's happening right now. If you are 40 plus, your hormones are in a changing time. They're getting ready to retire. If you're in menopause, many of your hormones, your sex hormones, have retired. And you have lots of other hormones. So this applies to everyone. It's not just that you have hormones in menopause or when you're a teenager falling in love or any of that. Hormones are produced by glands throughout our body, from the top of our head down to, our sex organs, all day, every day, in women and in men. And during your 35 to 55 range, the hormones are irregular. They are on purpose programmed to be that way. They are scheduled to retire at menopause. And so between 35 and 55, when you're pretty much out of the reproductive phase, for many of us, your hormones are okay, we're winding down around here. Things are changing around here. And that's your normal. And that is why you're 1 month things are fine. The next month my period's crazy. Sometimes my hair's falling out. Sometimes I have cramps. Sometimes I can't sleep. And it's come and go with symptoms, and it can be very confusing. So that's what's going on. That's the underlying situation. When you get to menopause, which simply means you have had no menstrual cycle for 12 months, and that indicates menopause because in large part your ovulation is not what causes your menstrual cycle, but they are a team. And so if you haven't ovulated in 12 months, then you can be having a menstrual cycle and not ovulating, but no menstrual cycle for 12 months is okay, you are done ovulating. And so your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, which are your sex hormones that are really there for reproduction and tons of other jobs, just are done. They just go, which is crazy to me. We live a really long time now after menopause, and to not have those hormones hanging out you're going to feel it. And so in menopause, rather than up downs of hormones, in menopause, you might be feeling like crap all the time because you don't have your hormones right and they're gone. The body's not making them at all anymore. And here's the deal. Why in other countries are women fine through premenopause and menopause? Premenopause is the same as perimenopause. It is the years leading up to menopause. There's no real great definition of it, but a lot of people call perimenopause from 35 to 55. And menopause, again, 12 months with no period. So there are other countries where people are perimenopause, I'm cool. Menopause, I'm feeling great. I don't have to worry about having a period anymore. My hormones are regular. They're down here, really smooth, great. Here in the United States, not great. Why? Well, because we are exposed to some crazy stuff in our lives that throws everything out of wackadoo. Birth control, hormonal birth control of any kind, IUDs, pill, whatever, hormonal birth control, huge player in our hormones being wackadoo. Environmental toxins, because unfortunately plastics look a lot to our cells like our hormones do. And so when they get in the body, they float around and attach to our cells. That's exactly how hormones work as well. Hormones are slow messengers. They're like the US Postal Service in your bloodstream. And they go around the body connecting to cells, telling cells what to do. Unfortunately, plastics and pesticides, there's a lot of them out there, look a lot like our estrogen and progesterone and testosterone molecules. And so they hog the spots on the cell where our hormones were supposed to be. And hormone wackiness happens, and we're out of luck. So it's here's how I think about it. How's your retirement savings? Are you ready? Like, are you saving what you need right now? Like, has it been going, since you got a job at 18, you've been saving and you're like, I'm going to be rocking it in retirement? Probably not. Most of us haven't. It's just a thing. It's hard. This is the same with hormones. Like, most of us haven't been rocking it every day, eating mindfully the whole foods we need, drinking clean water, living a very well managed stress situation type life, getting fresh air and exercise 9 times out of 10. Like, it just hasn't been happening. And so when we're ready for hormone retirement, we haven't been saving for retirement. Like, we haven't been setting ourselves up for success, and it doesn't go as well. So it is what it is. And I'm not here to dwell on all of that because it's a good thing we don't really have to. Instead, we can focus on what we can know and then what we can do now and in the future to, despite the craziness of the hormones that might be going on, still be able to feel good enough to take okay care of ourselves and focus on feeling good and get a positive snowball of momentum going. And so here is what I recommend. Having now lived this since I was about 35, but being cognizant of what is going on and going to a hormone specialist since I was 43. So a good 3+ years now. The place to start, in my strong opinion, is with your amount of food you eat and the quality of food you eat. And then we'll go way to the other end of the spectrum. We're going to take this as a spectrum because I get that many of us are very scared to do anything with the word hormone in it. Hormone replacement therapy is very scary because in the past there's been just so much confusion and unknown. So here's the deal. Nothing bad can come from you starting over on this end of the spectrum with eating enough clean food and drinking enough clean water. Okay, so how do you know how to do that? How do you know what is enough for your body, what's not too much and what's not too little? It's tough. I've asked in the group, I brought this up a lot lately about, is anyone here tracking your food and trying to eat at maintenance calories? And it's been like 2 of us, right? And there's 300 people in this group. So I highly recommend that you come to understand the amount of fuel you need every day, and you come to understand what we mean by whole food nutrition and give it a go, as well as drinking enough water. Enough water will run through really fast because it doesn't have a scientific definition yet, because our bodies are all each so different, and the activities we do each day, the environments we live in. There is a lot of research to suggest that most of us are chronically dehydrated. So my rough recommendation is to find out your body weight, cut it in half, and drink that many ounces of water a day as a minimum, and salt some of those glasses of water with high quality sea salt, or even better, because now there's so much plastic in the ocean, would be high quality pink Himalayan salt or Celtic salt, because it comes from rocks instead of from the ocean where you could be getting microplastics. Okay? And get the cleanest water you can. We invested I had saved money to do this and just made it happen. Invested a good amount of money into a whole house water filter and a really wonderful Kangen water machine. If anyone wants to ask any questions about that, whole nother subject. Because we wanted to have clean drinking water. So when we all prioritize drinking enough, even my kids this summer, my son got a little dehydration in Mexico and felt how terrible that made him feel, and he's been on the wagon. Now the food piece, how do you know how to eat enough food? How do you know how to eat at what I'm going to call maintenance, which means you're taking in enough calories for your body to do everything it needs to do every day. This is vital to your hormone wellness. You cannot have hormone balance. You don't stand a chance. I could send you to the Happy Hormone Cottage, my hormone specialist that I'm doing this training in honor of because she's celebrating the 12-year anniversary of the Happy Hormone Cottage being open. You could go to her, get her best supplements and get her best formulations of bioidentical hormones and use them and spend your good money on them, right? And if you aren't eating enough, those hormone supports will do you no good. You have to put in enough fuel. You can take great care of your car, take it to the best car wash, get it the best paint job, buy the fanciest car. But if you don't put enough gas in it, what's the point? It's the same with your body and food. So how can you figure out maintenance? I'm going to highly recommend that you leverage a resource I just did, which was Biceps After Babies, to find out how to do this. I've never heard it explained as well or with as much passion and just great drive behind it as I have in Biceps After Babies podcast and on their website. And then I went ahead and took her course, Macros 101, which was an intense experience. I highly recommend it. But it's more like, okay, we're on a continuum here. She's more over here, macros 101 is probably like, we're over here. Like, this is the level of commitment you're making. So she is offering, Macros 101, led by a woman named Amber, is offering a free 5-day Get Fit challenge starting Monday, August 23rd, which I'm going to do it. This is how much I believe in this. I'm doing it. I'm participating, even though it's the week my kids go back to school. It's going to be via email. There's going to be a little pop-up Facebook group. We're going to have some great support there. You get great resources. It will be a top-notch place for you to figure out what in the world is the amount of fuel your body really needs, so that you can actually give it a go of eating that much. And maybe you're overeating now, and maybe you're undereating, but you don't know. And that is a recipe for disaster for your hormones. So I highly recommend you give this challenge a go. I will put a link in the comments for you. Ask me any questions. It is totally free, and all will be pre-recorded. So you could join in live if that motivates you, but it will all be emailed to you and saved in a Facebook group. And if you hate Facebook, I totally get that. There's also going to be a standalone website to help you out. I can't recommend enough that you do this and find out how much you should be eating. When I found out how much I should be eating, I did mine through the Faster Way to Fat Loss. It changed my mood and energy within about 3 days. I was amazed. I was drastically under-eating carbohydrates, overeating fats, and under-eating proteins. And so, though I was taking in too much fuel, so I was gaining weight, I was getting too much of a certain kind of fuel, so my hormones were very out of balance. Our hormones need carbs, proteins, and fats in the portions that are right for us. That's why I talk about macros. Those are the macros. And when I figured that out and gave it a go with some whole carbs, getting in enough whole carbs, I felt like someone had given me a magic pill. I had been in the worst, most frustrated, anxious mood for a while at 43, and it was kind of out of nowhere. That was not my personality. It was the hormone imbalance being caused by the carbohydrates. Our hormones are big in charge of our moods. And so once I started eating enough carbohydrates, instant hormone changes began happening. And that's the beauty of hormone changes that can come from your lifestyle changes, is what I'm going to call them. So that's the food, the water, the exercise, the stress management, the sleep. The hormone changes that come from the supplements I use and the bioidentical hormones I take a little bit longer to kick in. They are not, 2 or 3 days type solutions. They are lifetime solutions. So we're over here talking at this end of the spectrum right now, right? This is what you can do now that is going to make you feel good now, like within 5 days of the challenge. And it's pretty amazing, pretty darn powerful. And it shows you how vital it is that 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say at our age, 6 days out of 7, you get in the right fuel and enough fuel so that you can consistently feel good. And if you're not consistently energized and in a good mood, you've got to analyze your fuel intake. Just please don't ignore this step, or else you are wasting your time and your money on everything else. If you've been on a diet forever, if you never drink enough water, if you drink way too much coffee and never get enough sleep, please stop wasting your time. You are destroying your health. You are putting yourself further and further away from your goal of being happy. It is time to look at eating enough food and drinking enough water. And once you get that bridge crossed, or at least start across that bridge, then it will be amazingly easier to you. You will be blown away. This was my experience, and a lot of women I've gotten to work alongside have had this experience. You will be blown away by the fact that then the sleep just comes back a little better. The mood just gets better. I didn't go to a psychologist. I didn't do any self-reflection. I didn't read a book. I just ate enough carbs, and my mood went from my mood changed as if I had decided to take antidepressants. Or get some help with medication from an anxiety medication. It was that drastic of a change, and I want that for you too. So that is why I recommend you start with eating enough food. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? I'm not here to tell you, do not go on a diet. Your hormones don't need a diet. That's why I'm not even recommending right now, over on this end of the spectrum, that you check out the Faster Way to Fat Loss. The Faster Way to Fat Loss is an intermittent fasting whole food nutrition program that I've been using for 3 years. It is my lifestyle. I coach it. but it is not what I'm recommending you start with in this hormones talk, because so many of us, by the time we're in our 40s, have our hormones so out of whack that intermittent fasting might not be your best first solution. You might have adrenal fatigue or Hashimoto's. You might have thyroid issues or cortisol issues that you don't even know are happening. And to pile intermittent fasting and exercise and a diet on top of it may be too much for you. It was not for me. I had been taking in too much fuel and had relatively low levels of stress and did not have adrenal fatigue or any thyroid or cortisol issues that were pronounced enough for it to be a problem for me. But even safer than me saying, go sign up for the fast way to fat loss just yet, is for me to say to you, I want you to figure out what your maintenance calories are and begin there, because no harm and only good can come from that information for you. And you can now get it for free, get it rolling along in a group with 5 days of support from this Biceps After Babies 5-day fit challenge that's coming up August 23rd. Again, I'll put the link in the comments if you want to register. Because surprisingly, figuring out how much to eat enough can be a little tricky, and it's hard to trust. I think so many of us are afraid to look into maintenance and eating enough, or afraid to look into anything that's not a diet, because we'll say, well, won't we just gain more weight? It's tricky. It's hard. And the beauty of this Biceps After Babies 5-day fit challenge is that Amber, who's leading the challenge, is the most masterful coach I've ever heard for transformation of mindset, especially mindset around treating the care you're taking of yourself more like a scientist rather than like someone who's on a diet. And making that mindset shift will let you take good care of yourself. If you're always treating yourself like someone who should be on a diet, you will never be well long term. You won't get the results you want. You won't get the body and the happiness that you want. You haven't yet, right? Me neither. It just doesn't work. You've got to shift your mindset to taking care of yourself. And then you're willing to take some more chances, try some new things, focus on progress. So let's pretend you've set yourself up to know how to eat enough. Then I want to argue for getting that enough from whole food nutrition. There is an abundance of research now available that tells us that when we eat processed food, we disrupt our hormones. And it makes sense, doesn't it, when you think about it? If the plastic in the ocean and the toxins from pesticides and plastics and chemicals and pills and prescriptions in our water can make us sick, then don't you think that whatever's in our food that we on purpose put into our body and is fueling our cells can make us sick? It sure can. And so, as you learn to eat at maintenance, I also want you to learn to find ways to focus on more and more whole food nutrition. And my most basic recommendation for your hormone happiness is to think about finding food that, as the faster way to fat loss says, I love that they say this, grew out of the earth or had a mother if you eat animal protein. So if you think, this has been pretty processed in a factory, it couldn't look like this growing out of the ground, then that's the food you're gonna move up to the sidelines. And instead, you're gonna focus on finding food that you actually like that could have grown from the earth, which I get can be a challenge. I go out of my way to share with you here and in my Instagram recipes, and I email them to everyone each week. And if you're not getting them, just let me know and I will make sure you get on the email list. Recipes for very simple, affordable, family-friendly meals that are made from what I call whole food nutrition. So things like chicken and broccoli and rice, but they still taste good, so that you can find things in meals you love, like the Big Mac in a bowl. It has the word Big Mac in it, but it's all whole food and it's delicious and my family loves it. It's very affordable and fast and easy to make for dinner or lunch or whatever you want. Recipes like that are going to change the way you feel very quickly. They're over here on this end of the spectrum of what can you do for hormone health now. My next recommendations after getting enough to eat and drink and making it as whole food as possible, as clean as possible, is to go through a few lifestyle steps And in the meantime, also be investigating what I would call non-lifestyle steps, like more oh gracious, I don't have a good word for it. Maybe more medical type steps, but not even medical, where you might be getting some hormone testing done and maybe looking into using bioidentical hormones, especially if you're over 35, progesterone. Progesterone is always the hormone. Bioidentical progesterone is the hormone I'm going to always suggest that everyone start investigating first because of the way that in the body it is used to make other hormones. So sometimes you can just be low on progesterone, put your progesterone back in, and it fixes your progesterone and your estrogen and your testosterone because of the way the body makes hormones out of hormones. So let's talk for just a few minutes about lifestyle pieces, because this is just a Hormones 101. And then we'll talk briefly about how would you get hormone testing? How would you know what bioidentical hormones you need and which ones are safe? So here in the middle, after you have started with the foundation of eating enough because you've figured out your maintenance calories and you're focused on whole food, maybe you're even thinking about carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, and you're getting your clean water, then you're over here and you're going to look at your sleep and your stress levels and your exercise. Sleep is vital to your wellness, and it is very disrupted by hormone imbalances. So if you are already going to bed and getting up at the same time every day, getting up when you wake up and looking at the sun, avoiding caffeine 10 hours before bedtime, avoiding screens at least an hour before bedtime, avoiding stress and email checking and bill opening 3 hours before bedtime, having room darkening curtains, doing some breathing exercise, yoga nidra, a hot bath to calm and relax you. You're doing all those pieces for your sleep on 6 nights out of 7. You have to be that consistent. Inconsistency does not cut it when you have hormone issues after 40. It just doesn't. And all that's in place and it's not working, then you need to stay and listen for what I'm going to talk about progesterone, because I was you. I was in that same boat. I did exactly what I'm saying. I got eating enough food, even enough carbs, proteins, and fats, all whole food nutrition, drinking enough water, felt amazing. But then about 2 months in, I started having insomnia, couldn't fall asleep or stay asleep. I was having those really bad mood swings come back. I was having what I learned was called estrogen rage, and had some irregular period symptoms. I had some like swelling, bloating symptoms in my legs. And so I was saying to myself, even though I have a lifestyle set up which is very low stress, I get enough, I'm attempting to have a good sleep routine and sleep enough, at least 8 hours a night. That's not working. I can't sleep. And I also would address my exercise. Let's go over this really quickly. I want you to exercise less. I want you to do far less cardio, at the max 50 minutes a week of high intensity cardio. There's plenty of research to support that, and it was done on young men. So extrapolate that to us 40-year-old women. You've got to stop doing all that cardio. You're destroying your hormones. You will never be well. You'll never lose the belly fat with cardio. It doesn't work. Look around the cardio class with you. It's not working for anyone your age. And it hurts. Your feet hurt. Your knees are starting to hurt, right? Quit it. Dial down the cardio, and it's time to add in strength training 3 sessions a week. If you're in menopause, it might even just be 2 sessions a week or 3 sessions a week, but with 2 days in between. And you need to be lifting weights that take your breath away. They need to be heavy. I want you to be at failure by the end. We need to be lifting heavy weights. It just has to change. If you want to get well, you want to have hormone balance, these are the changes you need to make to your exercise. And we need to have rest days built in. I'm going to go out there and say 2 days of rest where you do rest and recovery, hiking, long, slow swim, long, slow bike ride, that type of thing. Yeah. Those changes, if you are willing to give them a go, are going to make you feel like someone gave you a magic pill. The carbs, enough food, dialing back your cardio, max 50 minutes a week of high intensity cardio, maximum. Not 50 minutes a class, 50 minutes total a week of 7 days. Adding on strength training made so much difference in my hormone health, so much difference, but wasn't enough, right? So we've been talking lifestyle. You've got to start here, get your foundation, do your food, do your water, enough food, enough clean whole food, enough clean whole water, enough. So you're not on a diet. You are finding out what your maintenance calories are. Remember, You can do that with me in the free 5-day challenge that Biceps After Babies is starting on Monday. I'll give you the link to sign up. I cannot recommend it highly enough. Lifestyle changes. Set up a sleep routine. Change your exercise routine. Find some stress management tools. Finally, I'm going to go out there again and just share my opinion on this. And I'm not a doctor. I'm just a woman over 40 who had really bad hormone imbalance and needed bioidentical hormones to get well. And I will use them now for the rest of my life as needed because they have changed my life. Finally, if you are a woman over 35, you should look into hormone testing. If you are having symptoms that no one else can explain, or you've gone to your doctor and talked about and they're like, it's probably your hormones, but there's nothing you can do, you need to get hormone testing. There's plenty you can do. Hormone specialists like the Happy Hormone Cottage, which I visit, and I can help you find someone near you. They can be tricky to find. They're usually not your traditional doctor or gynecologist. Unfortunately, that isn't who is helping us with this yet. They're just not trained in it, just like they're not really trained in nutrition. Okay, it is what it is. But I can help you find a hormone specialist. My hormone specialist is actually a doctor and a nurse practitioner. And there are 2 of them at the Happy Hormone Cottage. I can help you find someone, and what they do is hormone testing. And it is not blood testing. It is testing the fluids in your body that carry hormones around the body and showing how those hormones are working and how they're doing their jobs. The test that I highly recommend is called the Dutch test. It stands for Dried Urine Test Comprehensive of Hormones, something of that nature. DutchTest.com, you can check it out. It is not covered by insurance, and that is okay because you need to be well whether something is covered by your insurance or not. So I recommend once a year that you get a test like the Dutch test of your hormones that is a dried urine test. It's not just the blood test. A blood test is not good enough. I also, in addition to the Dutch type test, I want you to get your blood test done by a hormone specialist so you can find out what's going on with your thyroid for real. Doctors in our country are paid by insurance to do this much testing of blood for your thyroid. You need this much. And the insurance will pay for it if your doctor just asks for the right labs and knows how to read them. So what I do is actually have my hormone specialist gives me a blood work order for my thyroid panel. I take it to my regular annual traditional doctor visit. And in addition to the blood she draws, I say, can you do this blood draw too? She does it. My insurance pays for it. I get the results and give them to my hormone specialist, my doctor, nurse practitioner hormone specialist. She knows how to read those tests. She knows what's really going on with my thyroid and how to help me, because our thyroid is a gland that produces thyroid hormone, which is very important. So when you're getting your hormones checked, you need to also get your thyroid looked into. If you've been told maybe something weird's going on with your thyroid, it's time to reach out in our group here and find a hormone specialist near you that can really help you, because it is just super unlikely that your traditional doctor can. Once this testing is done, then you can know what to do next. I am in a lot of Facebook groups where unfortunately people are doing a lot of taking hormones, bioidentical hormones, or other types of hormones without hormone testing. To me, that is insane. It is dangerous and a waste of your money. I want you to get tested, find out what hormones you have and what you don't, what's working and what's not, what you need and what you don't, and only replace what you do need and only use bioidentical hormones. There is an abundance of evidence that hormones that are created by pharmaceutical companies, which are not bioidentical, so they're molecularly not the same as what is in your body, are dangerous and unsafe. And that is why your traditional doctor, if they're even willing to talk about hormone replacement therapy with you, will say, we're going to do this little dosage and for as short a time as possible because these aren't safe long term. That's because they're talking about pharmaceutically created hormones that are not the same molecules as what are in your body. Why would they not be the same? The only way that a pharmaceutical company can make money, patent and make money from a drug, is if it is molecularly different than something that exists in your body. So pharmaceutical companies are not motivated to make bioidentical hormones for you. They won't make any money. They can't patent them. And so they don't. Instead, they sell you Premarin and Prempro and progestins, which are dangerous. Do not use them. If you are, please reach out and I will help direct you to some better sources of supported information so you can be safe and get results. Because unfortunately, your body knows that those molecules in the Prempro and the Premarin and the progestins aren't what they need and they don't work very well. You don't get good relief and then you say hormone therapy doesn't work. That kind you are using doesn't work. There is FDA approved bioidentical hormones now. They exist for progesterone and estrogen. And so FDA approved, very safe bioidentical pills you can take. That's something a hormone specialist can help you with. There are also hormone specialists who are their own compounding pharmacy, kind of like pharmacies and hospitals. My hormone specialist is actually its own compounding pharmacy. They've invested up a lot in very wonderful machines that compound their own bioidentical hormones. So I can use their creams for estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone, and DHEA, and a few other hormones. And know I'm getting the top of the line, pure, safe, effective bioidentical hormones. So again, that's why if you don't feel like you have any resources to reach out to, let me know here in the group and I will point you in some directions so that you can get hormone testing and hormones, bioidentical hormones, that actually are what they say they are and are safe and are effective. They do exist. They're just not part of mainstream medical culture yet. They will be someday. We're getting closer. The fact that we have FDA approved versions of estrogen and progesterone, the estrogens, there's more than one estrogen. Estrogen is an umbrella term for a few different molecules, but that there are FDA approved bioidentical estrogens and progesterones is a really good sign. We're making big strides. It's great. So, how long do I use those? What goes on with those bioidentical hormones? Is it safe? They are safe, and you use them as a lifestyle tool. So how long are you going to keep eating whole food? Rest of your life. Lifestyle tool. How long are you going to keep drinking enough clean water? Rest of your life. Lifestyle tool. How long do you want to keep getting good sleep? Rest of your life. Lifestyle tool, right? The same is true of these bioidentical hormones. But Amanda, don't we run out of progesterone and estrogen and testosterone during menopause? Like, isn't it supposed to all dial down? Yes, but you can still get some support even in menopause to get back into balance and stay in better balance by using bioidentical hormones. And when you're working with a hormone specialist who has experience and is well referred, you can do that very safely and effectively, even cost effectively for the rest of your life. And that way, you feel good and you enjoy your life. I want you to live a long time. My grandpa lived to be 100 years old. He passed away this year. I want to live to be 100. And he gardened and lived a strong, healthy life for 100 years. I want that for you. I want that for myself. So say I go into menopause at 50 or 55. I'm going to spend about half of my life in menopause. I'm not going to suffer and struggle and feel terrible and tired and not have the sex I want to have and not have the body I want to have or the energy I want to have or the sleep I want to have or the strength I want to have for half of my life. No, I'm not signing up for that. I refuse. I deserve better, and so do you. And that is why I created this group. So let's wrap it up. I know this has been a long training, but the deal is that that's just the truth about hormones. They're a very big subject. They're going on every day, all day, in every cell throughout your body. They're your body's slow messenger system. Your fast messenger system is your nervous system. Your hormones are your slow messenger system. They're communication. And that's why you don't feel good when they're not working, because then your body isn't communicating, and we all know that doesn't work, right? So please use this training. Remember, it's going to be saved in the hormones guide. There's the word guide at the top of our Facebook group on your phone and on your desktop. Get in there and look for the hormone section. This training will be there. There are other hormone trainings there. And just start asking questions. And as I always say, I'm not going to get in here and talk too much about anything that I can't point you to a group to do something about it right now, an opportunity to do something about it right now, because that's my personality. So remember, I'm going to put a link in the comments to the Biceps After Babies 5-Day Fit Challenge that starts Monday, August 23rd. So you can start here. Remember, over here was the place to start with your hormones, is to eat enough food and drink enough and make it as clean as possible. That is the place to start. And I can't think of a better place right now than Biceps After Babies to start doing that. She is the queen of helping you understand why it is so important to understand how to eat maintenance, how to eat enough. You are not going on a diet. You could. It's a choice out there. But if you want hormone wellness, and so long-term you can really get to those goals of being lean, you've got to figure out your maintenance calories. And Amber of Biceps After Babies has explained that in the best ways I've ever heard. She has the best PDFs, and I have a feeling she's going to give them to you for free, where you just plug in numbers and it tells you a really good estimate of your maintenance calories. I haven't seen anyone else do that for free. I have a feeling that's going to happen in this free 5-day challenge. I have a very strong feeling. I'm in there with you. So we are going to find out, we're going to see. And she's going to take it to the next level and kind of give you ideas of how would you know what carbs, proteins, and fats to take from that. Because you've heard me testify. And the Faster Way to Fat Loss clients who are in our group who have used the Faster Way will testify too. Just getting enough calories, especially even if it's just from whole food, isn't enough. Because you might not be getting enough carbs for you to feel good, or enough protein for you to feel good, or enough fats. It's a little different for each one of us. This Fit Challenge that Biceps After Babies is starting Monday, August 23rd, so this coming Monday, is going to give you a really big overview of that, so you can start to wrap your brain around it. So instead of having to sift through the trainings in this group, because I've shared all of this, I've taught all of this, but this is just a Facebook group. It's not the same as a challenge or a program, right? So this 5-day Fit Challenge with Biceps After Babies is going to be a really nice way to like sit down and like take the class every day, do a teeny bit of work, get the great PDFs, and get results so you can start getting your hormones better right now. Remember what I told you. Within 2 days of me figuring out whole food nutrition and eating enough whole food carbs, I felt like someone had given me a magic mood pill. I couldn't believe it. And it's not just me. When I went to the Faster Way Coach Conference, we were all sitting around chit-chatting at dinner, and a few people brought it up, and we're like, oh my gosh, I thought it was just me. And we're like, no, actually, we all were feeling around 40. It was all us 40-ish ladies. Terrible frustration and anxiety and bad mood out of nowhere. And like high level anxiety. And we weren't anxious people before. It was from the hormone changes combined with not enough really great carbs. Just sets you up. That's just how you're going to feel. That's just how you're going to feel. So if nothing else, come join this challenge on Monday so you can get rid of all those yucky, bad, anxious feelings. You'll get a lot more from it too. So I will go put the link in the comments, and you can start on your hormone wellness journey right now with instant results. You can be working on the lifestyle pieces that are here in the middle, and you can be asking me questions and your hormone specialist when we find you one near you, or someone you can work with for telehealth. You can start asking those more long-term questions that take a little more research on your part, a little more testing, a little more time. Bioidentical hormone replacement therapy takes time. It is worth it. It takes time. Figuring out how to eat enough fuel, enough clean fuel, especially the right amount of carbs, proteins, and fats, doesn't take much time at all. It just takes you committing to do the learning and then actually trying it. And that's why I was like, oh, this Biceps After Babies 5-day Fit Challenge, what she's calling it, that starts Monday, is the ideal place for you to do that. So let me get in here and talk to all of you who came to this group saying, Amanda, I want happy hormones. Well, I know you might have thought you were going to jump in over here, and maybe you're ready to. Maybe you already are macro tracking and eating enough and getting the best sleep you can and not over exercising and have stress management tools, and you're ready for your happy hormones. I will send you right over to the Happy Hormone Cottage. I will get you what you need. But most of us, I would argue, are over here where you're not even eating enough every day. You want your Maserati to like be going amazing, and you're not putting in the right kind of fuel. So even though you go to the best car wash and you have the fanciest Mercedes on the road and you have like upgraded to leather and like it's the best car ever, if you are not putting in enough fuel and often enough, all of this is not happening for you. It just isn't going to happen. Don't bother going over here. We need to be really consistent with eating enough and making it whole food. So the 5-day challenge will help you do that. It's going to come to you via email every day with a little challenge to do. Then there's going to be a live training at 12 p.m. Eastern, earlier for those over in California, in a Facebook group, and just on a website if you hate Facebook. Then there'll be a follow-up email like, did you do the challenge? What did you think of the training? And this will happen for 5 days. It's all recorded. It will all be saved. So if you're like, hello, I work, I can't be at a live training at noon. Absolutely, I understand. But you could carve out the week of August 23rd through the 27th to do this work and set up a phenomenal foundation for yourself, for your hormone wellness, so that you're like, okay, I can get this rolling along, and I can then be doing the lifestyle stuff, and I can start asking Amanda or my hormone specialist I happen to know about the bioidentical hormones piece, because I think that's going on behind the scenes for me, and I just want to know a little bit more. And that's Hormones 101. I know it's a lot, so let me go put the link in the comment for you to get started doing something now that will make you feel better right now with this challenge on Monday, and you can ask me all the questions. All right. I'm so glad some of you got to be here live. I don't see any comments or questions. So I'm going to tell you goodbye, and I will check in with you all soon.